Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So big news about Thor Ragnarok and the future of Thor in the Marvel Universe. So I have a couple theories about what's going on with him as of Doctor Strange. And the director was actually saying a couple funny things about what he's doing with the Thor movie that's like vastly different from previous Thor movies. Important stuff first. So there's a rumor that we're going to see a Thor post-credit scene at the end of Doctor Strange. There'll be like a couple post-credit scenes. The Thor one will be like the big one, teasing the next big Marvel movie because Thor is coming next year. There are 3 Marvel movies though. Guardians of the Galaxy is in the spring, Spider-Man is in the summer, and then Thor is happening around November when Doctor Strange is coming out next year. So the timeline's a little confusing. If they're going to use that outdoor scene that we saw earlier this year they were filming where Thor has like a little card that has Doctor Strange's address on it, what does that mean for the Thor movie? Because it looks like Doctor Strange is going to help them with Odin, like the homeless version of Odin that's been wandering around on Earth. But if that's all happening before the Thor movie starts, then what does that say about the plot of the Thor movie? That's like a whole other thing. But the idea is like the big rumor, like even bigger than the idea that we're going to see Thor at the end of Doctor Strange, is the conditions on which Doctor Strange helps them. So supposedly Doctor Strange says something like, I'll help you find your hobo Odin, but only on the condition that all Asgardians leave Earth permanently. Like Earth is off limits to everyone from Asgard, both Loki and Thor. Now, of course, you'd want to ban Loki from Earth. He's nothing but mischief, but banning Thor from Earth is a huge deal. What does that say about future Marvel films? What they might be doing is using this as an opportunity to transition Thor away from like the main Avengers films into a more Robert Downey Jr. type role where he just guest stars from time to time, but they have an easy way of explaining how the future Thor movies can just kind of be off by themselves like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies in outer space. Because we do know that the Thor movie is only going to briefly take place on Earth. Most of it's going to be like a buddy road trip with Hulk in outer space. But the thing is the director of Thor Ragnarok has said a couple things about how he's just kind of tried to do his own thing, ignore what the other Marvel movies are doing, do his best to give it like the most amazing, unique, retro experience. I'll talk about that in a second. But make the Thor movies cool again, because Dark World was better than the first Thor movie, but still on the list of Marvel movies so far, it doesn't rank super high on the list. So they're aiming to change that with Thor Ragnarok, and in order to do that, in order to do something new that they haven't done before, they're just transitioning away from Earth, which I think is a smart move because it gives them such a bigger sandbox to play in. And you've already got all these other Earth-based characters that you're getting ready to introduce in their own movies, like Black Panther, Spider-Man, Captain Marvel, all Earth-based characters. So it makes sense that you would like transition some of the classic Avengers away if you could. And Thor is one of the few space-based characters like Guardians of the Galaxy, so why not just let him exist in space in his movies? But I love the idea of a scene between Benedict Cumberbatch and Tom Hiddleston whereby Doctor Strange tells Loki to GTFO. But let me know in the comments, what do you think the idea of Thor being banned from Earth by Doctor Strange says about the future of Thor in the Marvel Universe? I'm assuming that Chris Hemsworth will re-sign his contract, but it just provides some interesting twists for the character in his future should they choose to go down that path. But Kevin Feige said that they always have like a bunch of different plans if things don't work out. Like originally, Spider-Man wasn't supposed to be in Civil War. Black Panther was going to be a much bigger character. But when they got Spider-Man, they're like, okay, we'll go with our plan A, but we had plan B and plan C if those things didn't work out. So they have like a plan A, plan B, plan C for Thor Chris Hemsworth should he choose to not re-sign his contract. But I think he totally will. He makes too much money, has way too much fun making these movies to walk away. So I think he'll just transition to a Robert Downey Jr. type role if they choose to not make more solo films. And you'll see like the full extent of that when we get to Spider-Man Homecoming. Like look at the way they use Robert Downey Jr. in that movie. Very briefly, but a very awesome guest appearance. So they could always use Thor in that way, especially if he becomes King of Asgard. That would give him a big reason to not come to Earth because he would have so many more problems that Odin would normally be dealing with, which they might do at the end of the Thor movie. That's still kind of up in the air. It depends on where they want the Thor character to be at the beginning of Infinity War. But get hype, it's going to be awesome, and be sure and go see Doctor Strange in the movie theater so you actually get to see that Thor scene, or at least confirm some of the twists. It's going to look like no other Marvel movie you've ever seen before. And like it's, the director of Thor Ragnarok saying that he's going to make Thor cool again. Super retro experience. So remember that funny Thor trailer that they released for the Civil War DVD? It was like the Comic-Con Thor trailer they showed off. So it had that retro VHS intro. Marvel redesigned all their movie logos to look 80s retro. So when he says a retro movie, he's talking about 80s style storytelling, as well as some of the visual cues that you see from the 80s. Like VHS is just like a really big 80s thing. But make no mistake, they are filming the Thor movie on like the most expensive advanced cameras that exist right now. This is a picture of the rig that they were using for one particular shot. These are 5+ of the most expensive cameras that you can use synced together for a single scene, meaning that it's probably like a big Ragnarok action set piece, like full-blown Odin versus the Ragnarok monsters. But just a heads up, tonight, Superman and Supergirl laying the beatdown on Metallo. I'll post that video after it airs. There's a bunch of DC stuff happening this week, a bunch of Marvel TV stuff too, so I'll try and post that as quick as possible. While you guys wait for that to post, you can click here to watch that funny Thor trailer again, and you can click here for the last big Doctor Strange trailer. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.